Okay everyone, I just wanted to do a little video to show you how to start this off. I have printed out some of the images that are on the PowerPoint for you to use. It's much easier if you do that because you can then trace easily from them. Obviously, if you don't have tracing paper or you don't have a printer at home, you'll need to do this from the computer, the screen. So that'll be a wee bit more tricky for you. We'll see how this goes. Now, I've printed off lots of images so that I can use them, and basically what I've done this morning is just sit and start to combine some of the images to do with the design brief. So I've thought about the shipbuilding past of Greenock, and I've got those images printed. I've thought about tourism and the computer kind of future. Got other pictures of Greenock and tourism. You think of the new dock that they're making down at the container terminal for all the cruise ships coming in. It'll be far better when we've got something really good when people are coming off these lovely cruise liners into Greenock so that they can see how beautiful this area is. So there's a lot going on in these images, and what I've started to do is just collate some of them and combine some of them. So you'll find that my first image here is actually quite busy. Okay, so I started up here, if you can see that, and I just started to play around with it, and that's absolutely fine. Some of your first images will look fairly busy, and then you're going to take them on a process of simplification. So I'll just show you how I came to getting these combined images. So I have got part of the school building, and I'm just going to go over my pencil lines. You're obviously not going to do this because we would need the pencil outline. I'm just showing you I traced over part of the school building, and I thought I would just keep it as mostly shape. I maybe went into a bit more detail than I needed to. And then I decided from part of that school building, I would combine it with the ship, the container ship. So that extends out, and I've added that in, so that kind of comes out the other side. So it's fairly long, but don't worry about how big it is because we can shrink it down on the computer. Big is fine to begin with. Put all the wee details in that you see in your tracing paper as well, that helps. So you can see I've put in the details of the ship, and I'm putting the containers on the back. Now, obviously I'm just going over this. I spent quite a bit of time thinking about each step, and you're going to need to do that. I'm just showing you this for the video, what I've already thought about and done. All right, so you get the idea. So I've got part Inverclyde Academy, part ship. I decided, well, the brief told me that I need DYW in it somewhere, so really simple. I've just kept that, and it's sitting on the top of the containers. And this is fine for a starting point because there'll be things about this logo you'll think, and already I was looking at it going, right, it's too busy here, it's too much going on. I don't think it's communicating the message about my logo as well as it could. And I'm not going to go over all the text here, but you can see it just says developing the young workforce. Now from here, I thought, what about putting a wee bit more of Inverclyde Academy in and putting a bit of the badge in? In hindsight, I think it makes it a bit too busy, but I've tried it out, and that's what we want to see. We want to see all your ideas and things that you come up with, because there might be something that you think hasn't got any value, but actually we really think it does. So don't discard anything. At one point I drew in part of the icon for location, and I thought it would be quite interesting if that came out the top, but when I looked at it again, it didn't really look like the icon at all, and it just added too much to my logo. So I decided to rub it out. So having a rubber nearby is actually quite important because you'll always be making decisions and you'll be taking things away. That is really important. And then I've put the wee Wi-Fi symbol in here, and I really looked at the curve of the shield of the school badge, and I thought, well, maybe I could incorporate into there. Now, although that's a really big logo, there's a lot going on. There's things that I'm looking at and I could see, well, if that was all simplified and it wasn't as confusing, that might be a potential idea. So I'm going to leave it at that. The next one that I decided to do was, I thought, right, well, I like the idea of the shape of Inverclyde Academy, and I like the idea of the outline. So I'm going to just show you what I did. I kept the outline, and it's fairly abstract in some way because it's not all that obvious that it's the front of the school building as you come in. This wee bit here is the window into the assembly hall. It's not all that obvious, but I quite like that. So if you're looking at it like that, that's what it is. I got that shape from there. Now that you can see that, that's become my structure. So I've got a bit about Inverclyde Academy. I've got a wee bit about the location. I can spend some time going over that. I quite like tracing over a bit of the map, and I'm not going to go over all this because I think you can see it quite clearly from there. I decided to trace a little bit of the Esplanade map in here, and I've got that on my images, so I've not made anything up. I just traced a little bit and I put in part of the letters. Now, deliberately didn't put the whole of Greenock in because that would be too obvious, so I decided to just have a little section of it, which I think is quite good. So, got something about Greenock and the location, got something about Inverclyde Academy, and then I found this really good image, which I think really shows the future quite well, and it's just simply, well, it's clearly the brain, you can see it's a brain, but it's the mouse cable, isn't it? So it's showing like almost all different networks and how the brain is working. It's kind of got a message of this idea of future, computers, all that sort of idea. So I'm going to just finish that off there. And you can see I've left a little mouse in there. Now, you can also see that the DYW section is just a bold line. So the DYW, maybe this time instead of keeping it an outline, you might decide that you're going to make it more of a bold letter. And this will come in later on in the project when we discuss colour as well, and how important colour is in a logo and how it communicates the message as well. So there is another idea that I've come up with. I'm not going to colour that one in just for time. And lastly, as I've started to go through these, I'm getting simpler and simpler with my ideas. I thought, right, here's Inverclyde Academy. Instead of having the building this time, I'm going to take the example letters that I've got, and I'm going to just start to show as though they're all pixelated. The letters are all coming apart. You can take your time. It's coming into the top of the laptop. So again, we've got some reference to the future. Maybe putting DYW in the inside of the laptop, or what about even an image of a ship? You get the idea. And in the background, I've decided to combine this image of the shipbuilding. So you've got the crane in the background. I'm deliberately putting it in behind so that it's not taking up a huge focal point of my logo, but it's there as a reference. And I do quite like this idea. It's a wee bit more simple than my other ones, but you might even say it's still quite busy. So from this, I might decide to take that on a process of making it a little bit more simple as well. So that's the first part. You will probably have about 10 of these. The more you have, the better your examples are going to be to show us for this design project. Okay.